Well, this guy doesn't need any introduction, but I'm going to do it anyways. 18 seasons with our Pittsburgh Steelers. Most importantly, played in the MAC, baby. Two-time Super Bowl champ, NFL Rookie of the Year, two-time NFL passing leader. 2014, I think because I was your backup then and you never let me play. I think that was the reason. But, brother, thanks for coming on, my man.
Bruce, it is an honor and a pleasure to be here with you.
I thought maybe we should just start by comparing our NFL stats.
Okay. I don't even
Let's,
know my stats, so
yeah,
go ahead.
and I know for sure you don't know mine, but completions, Gradkowski, 375.
Nice.
Roethlisberger, completions, 5,440. Listen, passing yards, Gradkowski, 4,057 passing yards in the NFL.
Nice.
Ben Roethlisberger, 64,088.
I'm gonna come back and try and get to 70.
You should. You you might have got a call or two during the season. You never know.
I don't tell people that.
All right, brother. Well, let's get going. I appreciate you coming on. You'll like this pretty intro. Hey, I'm Bruce Gradkowski, founder of the Alpha 5 Method. We're going to be talking to some of my friends, former NFL players, other high achievers, entrepreneurs, people that have beat cancer. Those are the kind of people you're going to be hearing from on the Alpha 5 Method podcast. I didn't know if I should intro with us comparing stats. You like that?
Like that.
I didn't know if I should compare our stats or have you on as the MAC East Special Teams Player of the Week when you were at Miami of Ohio.
Hey, you got to punt it inside the. You got to get a couple little pooch punts.
That's so fun. Did you do it how we did it the Steelers, where it kind of looked like a third down? You just back up a little bit.
Yeah, something like that. I actually, but it was crazy because I had, just catch kick, like no real technique. Like our coach in college at Miami, there were times on fourth down, he's like, "All right, you're just punting." Like I would just line up back there because I would just catch it and kick it real quick. So if there was ever like concern of them blocking it, he would put me in just to like go get it. It was crazy. I punted a lot in college actually.
Well, you're a left-footed punter, right?
Right. Hmm.
That was crazy to me. Like the first time I saw you do it in practice, I'm like, did he just punt that lefty? Was he just messing around? Or is he?
I should have just told everybody, I'm actually righty. I'm just goofing around a little bit with Bruce.
Meanwhile, it always like rolled out at the one in practice.
I know I got lucky.
So, I'm always curious because, we played together a little bit. You never let me get any reps, but I supported you,
Bruce,
big
that is
guy.
so not true. There's some pretty impressive clips out there of me and you doing a bag drill at training camp one time.
That has gone viral. Like, and everyone's like, I'll tell you what, though, that was one of the funniest moments of training camp of my life because I'm like taking it all
You
serious.
have to do that, right? Though, like to get through training camp, you have to have those days. Like someone at one point put on there, like just shows Roethlisberger never took like things too serious. Like, no, you have to do that in training camp. But go ahead, tell the story. I'll let you go.
No, but that's where you were honestly the best. Like you lighten the mood a lot, and especially during those long days. And Randy, our QB coach at the time, Fichtner, was all serious, throwing these bags like we're gonna get good work in. So I'm taking it as serious as can be. Boom, 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 like quick feet. Yeah. Did Tomlin see that? You see that shit? And then you go and you hit the bag, and then you just start knocking down the next few. The crowd went nuts though, laughing. Like it was
Yeah.
one of the funniest moments. But you did. You always brought good lightheartedness to meetings, the games, practice.
Mhm.
Um, when did you know? Like, I just was kind of thinking of your career. Of course, my whole family, big Steelers fans. When we
Mhm.
would play the Steelers, if I was with the Raiders or the Bucks, my cousin Ralph would be like, "Well, I'm just gonna wear neutral colors. Like, I want you to do well, but I want the Steelers to win." I'm like, "Bro, we're family." But I just think of your time, like growing up in Lima, going to Findlay in high
Mhm.
school, and you played receiver as a junior. Like, when did football really start you? And when did you know though you can really sling it?
Yeah, I mean, I think as a kid, I always had the ability to throw the ball better than most. Um, I remember being in elementary school and we'd play, like most people I assume would play football at recess. We're out there. I mean, probably but it was basketball, football, something one of those two. And at football, like I was always like I wanted to be the quarterback, and people wanted me to be the quarterback because I could throw it better than everybody. And so, I just knew early on I had a pretty good arm. And then, just growing up, like I just loved to play in the front yard, like in Finley. We had the streets have the curbs on them, and that was like the sideline. You
Right.
drag the toe, catch it on the side. Joe Montana throwing it to Jerry Rice. And so I just always loved playing the game, but it was never. I was different than a lot of kids, I think, or people that we played in the league with. That like from day one, we're like, my goal is to be an NFL football player. Like that's what I want to do. That wasn't even a thought on my radar because that's not where I came from. It just
Mm.
wasn't what I wanted to do. I loved playing the game. I loved being out in the front yard doing it and doing it with friends and my dad, but it wasn't like my end goal. My end goal was to be a coach, a teacher, phys ed. I just loved being active and stuff. So that was kind of more realistic of what I was trying to do.
That's pretty cool. I saw something like through that junior year when you're playing receiver and the
Mhm.
coach's son was a quarterback. I saw something about your dad. Like, just talk about your dad a little bit because the quote was like, "Look, it's a coach's decision." Like, and I thought it was cool. Like, your dad's not sitting there trying to tell the coach like you should be the guy. Talk about like your dad's impact in your life, but like in that moment where you might be like, "Dad, I'm better than this dude. Why am I playing receiver?" But your dad seemed to not go there with it or complain, or he kept it as, "Hey, this is the coach's call."
Yeah, I mean, I was blessed because my dad was, he was a good athlete. He went to Georgia Tech. He was highly recruited. Bo Schembechler, Woody Hayes, all those guys came to the house. And he was a highly recruited football player. Went to Georgia Tech to play quarterback. Blew out his knee early, and then he played baseball the rest of the time at Georgia Tech. So kind of tells you a little bit about the athlete that he was. But super supportive of me and whatever I wanted to do. He was not the dad that um, would go up to a coach and be like, "Listen, my son's better than yours or better than this guy or he should be playing." Like my dad sat on the visitor side up in the corner for all my games. Like you didn't know where my dad wasn't sitting in the stands with our fans. He didn't want to hear all the griping. He didn't want to hear like dad didn't cheer. He If I did something good and I happened to see him, he might just give me a like, you know what I'm saying? Not like Big Brew, not,
Yeah. Big
but
Brew is
no.
cheering more for you anyways.
But that's just who my dad was, and so he was the one that like with the like say put him in today's world, right? With everyone transferring all over the place. If I would have went to my dad and said, "Listen, I'm not playing. I want to transfer," he would be like, "You better keep your butt there and work harder, and find a way to be a starter." And so
Yeah.
that's who he was, and he did it in a very loving way. It wasn't nasty or anything. And so when I wasn't playing as a junior, I was like, I just want to be on the field. So I played receiver. And he was like, well, then go be the best receiver you can be and help your team. So that's just kind of the mentality that I always had. And what I hope I pass on to my kids.
Do you think though, like playing receiver and stuff, because you're just a natural athlete, like football, basketball, baseball. I probably give you a game in hoops, but do you think playing receiver kind of helped you though be the quarterback you ended up being? Like, did you have fun that year? I would have loved to have played receiver.
Yeah, I mean, more fun than sitting on the bench. I mean, I didn't want to
Right.
sit on the bench. I mean, I ended up being like an all-state receiver. I wasn't fast. I had some height, but I had a lot of, like you see when I play quarterback, just enough moves to avoid tackles and big stuff. And I was taller, so I could kind of jump ball some things. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed playing it. And in terms of did it make me better? Maybe I think so. I mean, it makes me like have perspective the other direction. Like
Mm,
um, how do you like a pass? We talk all the time. You don't have to be the quarterback that throws the ball as hard as you can every throw. Like I see so many young kids nowadays that are throwing the ball, whether it's high school, middle school, college, that think that every throw has to be 100 mile an hour. And
right.
that's just not true. Like you just hit the guy in the chest, make it accurate, make it catchable, make it,
Yeah.
so he can catch and run. So, um, I think maybe so in terms of those kind of things.
No, for sure. Now, were you high, like after your senior year, you blow it up at quarterback? Were you highly recruited? Like, how did that
hmm
process happen? Because you had the size, you had the athleticism.
Right. I just only had 1 year of experience playing, right?
Right.
When nowadays, I mean, guys are getting recruited in 6th, 7th, 8th grade, it seems like.
Right.
Um, but, it was kinda like, going into my senior year, there was some hype. Our team was like of the 22 starters, I think like 20 were seniors. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Like it was that class in Finley has 3 middle schools that all go to 1 high school. So like
Right.
everyone like going up was like when this class gets here like in high school, they're going to be really good at all the sports. And it wasn't just because of me. Like we had a really good athletic class. And so I think going into my senior year, it was like there was a lot of hype, like because they saw my freshman year, I played quarterback, and we did good. My sophomore year, I played JV. We won every game. It was like a Madden game out there. Like the coach was just drawing stuff up in the dirt. We were putting like 50 on people because we all played JV together and we just
Right.
killed people. And so I think there was a little bit of like hype, like what's going to happen. I mean, I think there was even like I can't remember who, it definitely wasn't ESPN, but one of these like local stations came in and like did a preseason like video on me and our team, and we hadn't even played yet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then the first game, we went and played my dad's alma mater. We played Elida, and we went up there. I think I threw like at least 4 touchdowns, maybe 4 or 5 touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, whoa, all of a sudden. And I think, I'll backtrack. I think the reason that there was some hype is because we did some camps, right? Like some
Mm.
7-on-7 camps, and we went to Pitt. We won the Pitt camp. We did some things where it was 7-on-7. We were just slinging the ball all over the place. And so I think that's the reason that there was some hype. Now I think about it. We maybe went to Miami's camp. And after that first game, it was like Miami called and some other like smaller schools called, like just gauging interest. Second game, I think we lost the second game, but I still played well. And then we like the next game, we never lost again until the play. Like we went all the way into the playoffs, and it was every game. It was like 5 touchdowns. I mean, I ended up throwing 54 touchdowns my
Jeez.
senior year, like over 4,000 yards. Like so, every week it was like more letters started
Mm.
coming. Pitt, and then it kind of towards the end of the season, once you start racking up these wins and you're doing all these things, then you start getting like SECs. I mean, by the end of it, I can't say that every school in the country, but there was, all the Big Tens, a lot of SECs, ACCs, all the MACs were at least interested in it to a certain degree. So
Right.
it just that's kind of how it all transpired. But I was such a late I only played my senior year, and then some teams like Ohio State wanted me to. It was rumored that they wanted me to come play tight end because I had the size and I had played receiver before. They thought that they could, that would be a better fit for me. So, um,
Like the
yeah,
Heath
it just
Miller
was.
route.
Yeah, exactly.
But you've always seemed like a loyal guy, like, to your crew, to your clan, the family, like, people around you.
Right.
Um, and talk about, though, how you end up then at Miami of Ohio.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm that way. I'm not gonna say to a fault because I don't mind, but my circle is small. But I'll die for that circle. Those
Mm.
people, and from friends to family to people like that. Like I'll do anything for them. And so I am just a loyal person, and I think because Coach Hepner at Miami was one of the first schools to come get me to come believe in me. And I loved him. I mean, him as a person, he was unbelievable. But he believed in me from the get go and was one of the first scholarship offers, and that meant a lot to me. And I remember going there on my official recruiting visit, and my dad saying, because that was my second visit, I had other ones lined up after, and he said, Ben, he could tell I really liked it, and he said, Ben, whatever you do when you go in his office, don't commit now.
Mm.
Like, let's go home and talk about it. I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, I got you. Went in, talked to Coach Epp, and came out. I was like, "Yeah, I just committed." But it ended up being, it ended up working out and being right. So,
Well, what kinda impact did he have on your career? Because I know you've talked about him a ton. He passed away,
mhm.
what a great coach for so long, but, you making that commitment in the moment, you must have felt some bond between him and you.
Yeah, and I didn't even. I mean, at the time, I loved his passion, his energy, his charisma, and at the time, I didn't even know how close we would end up becoming.
Mm.
Obviously, playing for him and MAC championships and winning the bowl and all that, and then getting drafted, and it's one of my biggest like regrets in life is that he's not here still to
Mhm.
enjoy all the stuff that I got to accomplish and because of him. Still very close to his wife Jane and the family, but you know, like I said, at to think of where I am now in my relationship with the Hepner family and him and where we got to before he passed. At that moment, like I just trusted the guy. Like he ended up becoming like a second father to me. I'm
Mhm.
very close to my dad. Anyone that knows me knows that. And so to put him in that category as a second father is just I think that speaks volumes for who he was, as a person, and what he has done and meant in my life.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's awesome because I just look at it throughout our whole career, like to have the right people around you at the right
Mhm.
time, it helps so much because it's hard enough, man, to do it alone. But, you've always talked highly of them. And, that's just such a cool story and bond, because now kids
Mhm.
are faced like, I don't know, like everything has going on with recruiting, NIL. I
Yeah.
mean, what's your thoughts on that stuff? And high school kids trying to make decisions on where to go to school. And you're proof of like, you don't have to go to Florida State, Alabama, Clemson
Right.
to make a name for yourself and get to the league.
Yeah, I mean, I tell that to people when I talk to them, all the time. I say, you don't have to go to the big school, to the like you say, the Ohio States, the
Mhm.
all any name one of the Power Fives. You don't have to go there to get to the NFL. As a matter of fact,
Right.
it's probably a harder road because every year they're looking to replace you.
Right.
I mean, look every day in the news. There's a five-star quarterback, top one or two guy that is now transferring somewhere else. Well, why is he transferring? He shouldn't have to. If he's the best in the country in high school, we shouldn't have to transfer. Go to, and I'm not saying you have to go to a small Mac Toledo like type Miami type school. There's still a lot of schools out there that aren't Power Five that are great schools that you can get to the NFL, and it'll have probably an easier road in the sense that you're not gonna be worried about them bringing in a new the new guy, or getting a transfer portal. I mean, it's like the Wild West out there, it feels
Uh,
like. I mean, we used to joke when back in the day when these rookies would come in, we would joke like, "Oh, I bet you took a pay cut to come to the NFL." Like, joking, half-heartedly joking, because they
right.
probably got paid in college, like, under the table, even though we didn't at the MAC. But now it's like true. They truly are taking a pay cut to go to the NFL, and it's mind-blowing to me.
It's unbelievable, and they have free agency whenever they want to hop in that
Whatever they
portal
want. Mhm.
and just see what they could get. So,
Yep.
anyways, you blow it up at Miami, you come to Toledo, whoop our butt, but you're
Yep.
coming out in the draft, and it's one of the best QB drafts with you, Eli,
Right.
Philip Rivers. Um, but just talk about maybe coming out in that draft class with those guys. I mean, adversity kind of struck, you drop a little to 11. It might not seem
Mhm.
like much, but you're in that green room waiting. Like, what was the whole process, and when did you think you would get drafted?
Yeah, I mean, that was, everyone talks about Aaron. I think Rodgers dropped like 13, 15, somewhere in there, and like a little bit later than me. But they talk about him being like in the green room, like waiting. Well, I was in there, like I was the original, like waiting in the green room type person because it
Right.
took forever. Like we really thought that it was going to be probably like potentially four to the Giants. We had some insight, and I've been told since then that um uh, if they didn't do the whole that's the draft. If people don't remember, the Eli Manning, Philip Rivers, Chargers, Giants swap. That
Right.
if that wasn't going to happen, if the Chargers weren't going to swap out Eli, that I was going to go over Philip number four to the Giants. That's what I was have been told since. But they
Wow.
ended up doing the whole swap thing. So then it's like, okay, what's next? Cleveland was a potential at 6 or 8, whatever it was. They ended up taking Kellen Winslow Jr. And from there, we thought the next one was going to be Buffalo, which was, which was 15. I mean, it was down the line further. Never expected to get a call from Pittsburgh. And with them calling, we were just kind of sitting there. And that's why there's a famous clip in the green room of when they say Philip Rivers, you see Coach Hetner throw his water bottle across the table because he was like, he had inside info that I was going forward to New York, and so he was just mad and he threw it. And then the Steelers call, and it's like, you don't know what to expect. I mean, it's just you're just excited to finally get to go. But that class was truly special. I mean, I think it's going to go down as one of the greatest quarterback classes, especially in terms of Super Bowls. Um, I know the other one was the '83 class or '82, whatever class that Marino,
Right.
Montana, whatever it is. So
Who who
um,
who was on that? Like, who calls you first? Is it Mr. Rooney? Is it Cower at the time? Like,
it was I believe it was Cowher, because I think Lee. So at the time, Lee Steinberg was my agent. He picks up the phone. He's like, "It's the Steelers, the Steelers." And we're like, "Oh wow, okay." And he's like, "Okay, yeah." And he hands the phone, and I'm 90 something percent sure it was Coach Cowher. Sorry,
that's
Mr. Rooney, if it was you, but I think it was Coach Cowher.
how cool is that though? Like looking back at like probably the emotions then, like the frustration, but then to see how it all played out.
Yeah, I mean, just to to have a chance to go. I mean, we for me that truly was the biggest deal was just getting a chance to go in the NFL. It didn't necessarily have to be somewhere specific. I just wanted a chance to play. So once that phone rings, you're going to have a shot. And just because you get drafted doesn't mean you're going to be successful or have a long career.
Mm,
You still got to work at it. I think so many times people, whether that's a new contract or they get drafted or whatever it is, they relax. It's like, "Ah, I
right.
made it, I did it. I don't have to really push it anymore." And I think the opposite should be true. I think when you get those big contracts or you get drafted or something big happens, when people take a chance on you or they believe in you, that shouldn't it shouldn't make you relax and think, "Ah, I'm good." It should make you push forward to prove them right and to make them want to continue to believe in you.
No question. And not only did you, get drafted and you're in the NFL, you're ready to roll, man. You explode on the scene. What was it? 13 straight wins as a rookie,
15 including the postseason.
man. Like
Yeah.
and when you got that chance, what was it? Maddox that got hurt,
Yeah, Tommy got hurt in the vault second game of the year. Tommy got hurt.
and then you come in and just go from there. Now, I mean, you had the right team around you, like all
Right.
that. But like, talk about feeling as a rookie. Like nowadays, we see a lot of rookies playing, but I remember when you came out, that didn't happen often.
Mhm.
Like, what was? Did you feel ready at the time? Like, what was kind of the emotions behind that?
I didn't really have a chance to think about it. Tommy gets hurt in the middle of a game. Like, so I came into the season probably as I mean, I'd say 4 on the depth chart because it was Tommy, Charlie Batch, and Brian St. Pierre who were all on the team already. Now, obviously, when they draft a guy at 11, you're probably not going to be the fourth guy. So I was probably third. Like St. Pierre and I were kind of getting the third reps, I would say.
Yeah.
Charlie got hurt early, so that kind of forced me into the second role early in camp, or into camp. Um, but and then the first game we played, and then the second game, uh, in the second like quarter, Tommy gets hit from behind, hits his elbow, goes down holding his elbow, and it was kind of like, okay, Ben, I got to go in. I think it was a second down. I come in on third down, I just hand the ball off, like, all right, I did my one play right, and they're like, hey, you need to go back because Tommy's not quite ready. So I went back in. I remember being in there and seeing Tommy go to the locker room, like I could see him going in Baltimore to the locker room. I'm like, "Oh, no, like, I gotta finish this half up," and, did that, and then, got into halftime and realized that he's out for the game, still not knowing the significance of it, right? So
Right.
I gotta finish the game out. We have a chance, late in that game to drive down the field, and I learned a very valuable lesson in the NFL. I got, like, a two-minute drill, like, to go win the game, um, and at the time, we did our 2-minute with, like, 1 through 10, right? Like, play
Mm.
1, play 2, play 3, 4, 5, and so on and so on. Well, obviously, you would use 2 hands, you know what I'm saying? That's why you stopped at 10. Instead of 11, it's play 1, play 2, play 3.
Yeah.
And when we got to and you go 9, and when you got to 10, you're supposed to do this, right? That's 10. This is 5.
Yeah.
This is 10. So I signaled 10, 10, 10, and the receiver did 5, and I threw a pass and I got pick 6.
Mm.
So we ended up losing the game, and I just was like, all right, that 2-minute drill, like balls in your hand, you get a chance to go win your first game, and you blow it off of like something so silly as that,
Mm.
made me like, man, I'm never in 2 minutes, like I'm never making that mistake again. So, but anyway, back to your question is like, so then Tommy's out, and it's like, okay, you're gonna have to go next week too, and you realize Tommy's out for a while. So it's literally like you don't have time to think. Like we gotta prepare to go to Miami. There's a hurricane coming to Miami. The game gets pushed back. We won. Now it's just like, okay, let's keep. You got to keep. It's just such a whirlwind. And I was blessed to go to Pittsburgh where there was a great team. We had a great defense at the time, a veteran line, Jerome Bettis at running back, veteran receivers. Like I just had to get plugged in. And
Mm.
I can admit that I was put in a great situation, which is why I always think that like you're better as a quarterback getting drafted. You'd much rather go to a good team that had a bad year than be number 1, 2, or 3 overall and go to a bad team and try and, you look at the young man down in Carolina. Like
Mm.
I don't where's the light at the end of that tunnel? You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? I'd rather I got lucky. Pittsburgh was a good team that had a off season. They got picked number 11. And so I got to go to a good team, and so that season was just such a whirlwind that it never stopped. Like we just kept winning and winning and winning, and so I didn't have time to look around, to be honest. So it was hard to know what to do other than just play ball.
Well, and that's tough too because you get thrusted in there and you're looking at Jerome Bettis in the huddle, what Hines, like you're looking at these
Yeah,
veterans.
Alan
and
Faneca.
and they're looking like, "Come on, let's go." Like,
Yeah.
because I felt that as a rookie in Tampa, like you now they're looking at you like, "Get us right. Let's go. You're the
Mhm.
quarterback." Um, Even though you had the right team around you, it still is that you feel that pressure on you because you are that guy now to lead a
Mhm.
veteran group.
Yeah, and for me, it was about leading with my actions and less about my words,
Mm,
right? Because who am I? Because I remember getting in the huddle one of the first times. I called a play. I'm about halfway through the play, and Jeff Hardings, who's a veteran center, a really good leader on that team, he's like, "Speak up, talk loud." Like I'm like, "Oh, okay, sorry." Like I don't know what I'm sorry. And famously, Alan Faneca gets asked in the media after Tommy gets hurt. Him and Tommy were boys. Hey, are you excited for this young rookie to play? No, I'm not excited. Like that's the last thing I want, and I don't blame him for saying it.
right.
And so you have to come in, and I can't come into that locker room with those guys and be like, "Hey guys, listen, here's the deal. I'm the quarterback. This is what we're gonna do." It was like, no, shut your mouth and go to work, and
Mm,
just show up every day, work hard, put your body on the line. I mean, you got a chance for a first down or a couple extra yards. I'm going to try and get those couple extra yards. Now that's part of who I am as well.
right.
But I wanted to show them that they could count on me. And I think obviously winning helps with that. If we would have lost a bunch of games, it would have been a lot harder. But going out and making plays and winning, I think got them to believe in me early. And I think that was huge.
How was like Cowher's messages and meetings at that time? Is it more so about the team, not directly like to you? Did you have to have side conversations of like, "Hey Ben, this is what I need from you," anything like that, or was
He
business?
he treated me like a crappy rookie. Not I mean, he's admitted it, and we've talked about it. He's like, "Ben, I could have treated you like the greatest thing since sliced bread and put you up there, you're winning games, or I could have treated you like I did, and I chose that route because
Mm,
I felt like that was what was best for you." Yeah, because it wasn't like you were with we were with Tomlin, where you were like, kind of buddies, you could go talk to
yeah.
whenever, like, the old open door policy, I never went in the open door. I didn't wanna go in and talk to Coach Cowher. That's the last thing I wanted to do. So, um I think that he handled it like he probably should have with a young guy in a veteran group. Because if he would have tried to like put me up on a pedestal like this young quarterback, I think that the guys probably would have been like, "Why are you doing this to
Mm,
this guy? We had to earn our stripes." With
right.
Coach Cowher, you had to earn your stripes, and so I'm glad I was able to do that.
Well, and then year 2, you guys go on to win a Super Bowl, and the thing I think was thinking about too, like, because I have so much respect for you, like, just being around you in the meetings, just how you approach it, but just our sidebar conversations, how much you
Mhm,
cared about guys, your teammates, like, the message, all this and that, but you were always a competitor, like, anytime you stepped on the field, it was crazy to me, like, to me, you never missed a throw, like, OTAs, training camp, it didn't matter. Tomlin gives you a day off, the next day you come and just shred the defense, and I'm like, "How doesn't he, like, miss a throw?" Like, AB AB, quick, shifty, but might put a little extra on a route, and boom, you'd hit it. Where I'm like, oh, my timing and rhythm, I'd throw it over his head. Um, but I look at you there when you guys win the Super Bowl, you get in that motorcycle accident, and like you have all the hype, but also that happens like the adversity strikes of kind of like so many prey things at once, right? Like, how bad is this? Am I good?
mhm.
Like going forward and how it feels, looks in the community. Like, take us through that moment, like, when that accident happened, where you're like, "Holy shit, this is it."
I mean, I was so out of it, I didn't even know what in the world happened, but I
Mm,
remember thinking like, after I came out of it, like this is going to be I've got some adversity, like this is going to be an uphill. I never once thought that I was done playing.
mm,
I just knew I was gonna I was it was going to be a battle to fight to get back. Like you said, I'm a competitor, man. I was going to not let that slow me down. Um, you know, I I think sometimes we need slowed down from ourselves. I think God
mm,
does that to us when we get kind of caught up with things, and it was that was the first time that God really said, "Hey, listen, you need to slow it down a little bit. Like I'm still in control, not you." Because I
mm,
think it's easy to have early success and put yourself in a situation where I'm going to control my own life instead of just surrendering it over. And so you've got to really take time to say, listen, pump the brakes a little bit, put priorities where they're supposed to be. And so once that happened, and I was able to realize I was going to be okay, and I could come back from it. It was gonna be a long road, but just another battle, another fight that I was really ready to do.
No, unbelievable how you responded in that moment, and it's just crazy because my mind goes to many different things like throughout your career, but just facing that adversity, youngest quarterback to win a Super Bowl, right at the time, like so just the hype was real, and we know Pittsburgh Steeler fans, like
Hmm.
so it was awesome the energy in the city that you brought, and then you played your whole career there, and
Yep.
I think of games too of just take us back to the next one, right? Where was that the year when Jerome Bettis fumbled and you had to make the tackle?
Yeah, that was a Super Bowl year. Yeah.
I mean, what's going through your mind there? Like,
Yeah. Well, Jerome, if he watches this, will get mad because he doesn't like to talk about it. But I'm going to say this first about adversity. I think when you get faced with adversity, whatever it is, it can be big, small, um, whatever it is. I think you kind of have two options when adversity comes at you. You can accept the adversity as it comes and run from it and be like, I don't want anything to do with that. Like I am that is too challenging. It's too tough. I'm comfortable here because adversity makes us
mm,
uncomfortable,
mm,
right? It's big or small. Adversity makes us uncomfortable, and when we're uncomfortable, we can run from the uncomfortable and get back to comfort. And a lot of times when we're running from adversity, running from that uncomfortable to get back to comfort, we turn our back on what our
mm,
prize is or what we're looking for. And so when we turn our back on what that end goal is, we're never going to get to it. You can't get to a goal not looking at it. The other option is you can take that adversity and that challenge and you can hit it head on. You can accept it and say, this is not going to be easy. This is going to be it could be one of the most difficult things in my life, or it could just be a small hurdle, small speed bump.
mm,
But whatever it is, your eyes, you're facing it head on. You've got to face it head on because your prize is up ahead of you, your reward, your challenge is up ahead of you. And so it's like I'm not gonna just go sideways around it. I'm gonna go this way because I'm trying to get to it. Because the shortest distance between two objects is a straight line.
mm.
So I can't go around that adversity. I either got to run through it or run from it. And so I'm going to run through adversity. So that's why I would challenge people listening out there. If you've got adversity, you can run from it, but you're never going to get your prize. You're never going to get to that goal. If that thing's important to you, that's up ahead of you, then you've got to take that adversity on. You've got to find a way. It might be easy to get through it. It might not be, but you've got to find a way to get through that adversity because it's only going to make you stronger. Because what you can do is once you get through that adversity, you know it's behind you. You know what you just accomplished. That next piece of adversity or that next challenge that comes your way always gets a little easier. Even if it's a bigger challenge or a bigger hurdle, it's a little bit easier, which I know doesn't make sense to people because you just conquered something. I just
Right.
conquered that one. If I can do that, I can do this.
Mm.
And so I just think that's the important thing about adversity that people have to understand that if you want to get your prize, keep your eyes on it and go for it. So, but
That's
yeah,
so
about
good.
that fumble.
No, but that's so good, because you know, it's almost like that adversity builds that confidence within you as well. Like you
For
get
sure.
through that, it builds your confidence in yourself. Like, oh, I just got through that. Like,
Hmm.
and I'm talking to quarterbacks now, a few guys that I coach in the UFL now, other guys in the NFL, like where they're right at that breaking point, right? Where a few guys are like, man, I want to get to the league, I want to get there, but he's also like, but I could go get this six-figure paying job rather than go to the UFL for 50 grand. What
Hmm.
do I do? And I'm like, listen, man, like how many guys are in your spot that have that decision to make? And when you're that close, I said, a lot of guys tap out and that's it. And which is fine if you don't feel it
Sure.
inside you. But if you still feel it inside you, that hunger, that desire, keep going because the ones that are consistent longer are the ones that find
Hmm.
success. I feel like in to your point, like you're going to hit roadblocks throughout your journey, whatever it is. And that's why I love having, I'm appreciative of you coming on because people can look at you in your career of, oh, he had it easy, he got paid this, or he was a starting quarterback. But everyone and all of our journeys are different, but all of us will face a choice at some point how we deal with
Hmm.
adversity and how can you overcome it.
Yeah, because going this way is always the easiest.
Mm.
Turning and running from adversity, that's always the easiest, but it's just gonna same thing as going this way gets easier every time you hit a hurdle, going this way gets easier too. So if I go this way and I run from that adversity, every time adversity comes, it gets easier to go this way. It's easier to go this way and harder to go this way.
And we don't have to do it to Jerome, though, if we don't wanna talk about the fumble.
Well, I'll say this. I'll keep it real quick. I'll give you the 30-second version. We got down the field. We go into that game throwing the ball all over the place, which was kind of caught the Colts off guard.
Mhm.
And Heath Miller had a big day that day, and so we end up having a lead. We get down um, to hand, to basically if we score again, it's pretty much over. And it's like give the ball to Bus. Jerome's not gonna, he's gonna score, and it's game over. And I remember handing off and not carrying out my fake, which would have got me in a lot of trouble. Um, and Just because I want to watch, I'm like, Jerome's gonna score. This is gonna be awesome to watch. And I turn around and just watching that ball. Just it was like slow motion. That ball
Mm.
pops out, hits the ground, and I'm like, okay, I gotta go grab the ball real quick. And as I go, think about going to get it, it just like it bounced perfect. You know that ball just bounces perfect. Like if it
Right.
takes us one more bounce, it could do whatever. It bounces right to him, and I'm like, oh man, I'm the fastest guy on the field on our team. That's not good.
Mm.
I'm not Bruce Gradkowski with some
Yeah.
wheels. I got to figure this thing out. And so it was like at some point I can't outrun this guy, so I got to try and outsmart him. So I kind of gave him the weave this way, and I'm like, all right, shoot your gun. And I just went for it, and I was able to hold on to his foot and
Oh.
get on the ground. And they still had a chance to go down and win it, but Vanderjack missed the field goal, and we won.
Oh, man. Like, just it's just crazy with football because of, it's just a game of inches. Take us through, like, just any points in your career that stand out, like maybe your favorite moments, maybe a moment that had taught you the most. I mean, that throw to Santonio Holmes in your second Super Bowl was insane. Like, what a throw, but what a catch to get both feet down.
Hmm.
Mike Tomlin taking over for Bill Cowher. Like, so going through the coaching changes, but also like it's not easy, man, because we look around the league now, you see it like people, if a team's having a down year, hey, let's trade this guy away, let's trade that the guy away.
Yeah.
But the consistency the Steelers approach has always been. I love and have always had a lot of respect that they don't panic
Hmm.
and you just stay the course. And you've seen 18 years of it.
Yeah.
Um, Kind of what sticks out to you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the play to Santonio in the back corner of the end zone was what I was doing as a kid. Like I was
Right.
that same thing. I was Joe Montana throwing it in the backyard, and so to win a Super Bowl is like if we'd have ran it in there, it would have been really cool, obviously. But like as a quarterback to
Mm,
throw that pass, and if he's wide open, but that pass where it was probably one of the dumbest throws because you don't need a touchdown there, right? A field goal ties it, and it's like you take a shot, but that's I didn't even think about a field like a field goal wasn't
mm.
even on my mind. It was like go win this thing, and so he made an unbelievable catch to get in, and so to me that was just I mean that's was nostalgic coming back from being a kid out in the front yard in Ohio doing that, and um, to win it for the fans. I mean, I loved playing in Pittsburgh. I love the
Mm.
fans here. They're so passionate, as you know. And so when I would go out and play, I'd play for my teammates. I'd play for the fans in the city, and so I just truly enjoyed having 18 years here. I know towards the end of my career, I had a chance to go. I had some chances to go somewhere else and play, and it didn't feel right to put
Mm.
on any other uniforms after 18 years here. And so I was like, you know what? I'll just hang it up the way it is.
Well, it goes back to like your loyalty. You know what I mean? Like, the reason why you go to Miami of Ohio, you're a Pittsburgh Steeler, you're a Pittsburgh Steeler. It's kind of like
Mhm.
how your dad kind of embedded in you. You know what I mean? Like you handle
Yeah,
business the right way. And it's funny, like you lived it, so I get to live through you, with that pass to Santonio Holmes. but I'll so we're playing the Baltimore Ravens when I'm backing you up. And I think it's what 2014. You're passing yards leader, just crushing it. So we're playing the Ravens in the playoffs. I think we're down 16. And dude, it's January. I got sweats on over my pads. I learned this stuff from Charlie Batch, seeing him.
yeah.
I got a coat. I got sunflower seeds in. Well, you take a hit and you're slow to get up, but at times you can do that. I'm
You
letting
gotta,
you
you
have.
gotta, you gotta milk that thing, man. You gotta take all the time they give. It's like the 8 count, right? You gotta get yourself a second to get up.
That's awesome. So you're kinda doing your deal, and I'm like, "Yeah, I've seen you do this before. I think he's okay." But it's a little longer than normal, so I start kinda slowly backing towards where my helmet is. That ref hits the whistle, and I'm like, "Oh." shoot, I got to go in. So I rip my sweatpants off. I'm like, I got to get loose. So, but in my mind is what you lived though. I'm like, man, I'm going to take over. We're going to go win a Super Bowl. I come, I come in for 3 plays, and you come jogging back out like, get out. I got you.
I probably said something like, "Thanks, Bruce." I didn't just yell at you now.
You did your thanks. I got it now. I'll finish this. Um, no, brother. I just think, and then also at the end of your career with the elbow injury, and like I said, you were a
Yeah,
guy at practice and games. Like some of the throws you would make would be phenomenal. I tell guys all the time, especially scouts, like Ben is the best quarterback I've ever seen be able to change his arm action in the middle of a throw. Like we talk about
yeah,
a receiver might do something different, might go a little deeper, might add a little extra stutter to his route, but you were always able to
mhm,
change and be accurate with the throw. With me being a timing rhythm quarterback, I had to let it go on time and in rhythm to a spot.
yeah.
But I just thought like the way you delivered, and then you think your athleticism size matched up now if you would come out. I mean, that's what the NFL wants is athletic quarterbacks. And I feel
Yeah.
like, the respect factor of your career, I think the longer we get away from this, people are going to look back like, damn, Ben was one of the best to ever do this.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. I mean, I always kind of figured that when I got done, I always hoped I should say that when I got done, people would be like, "Man, he was a lot better than we gave him credit for." Like look at this, stat, whatever. But because at the end of the day, it was about winning for me, never having a losing season. To me, that's the stat that matters.
Mm.
Like that's the one that matters. I couldn't tell you how many touchdowns I threw. I didn't know how many yards I threw for, but I know that I never had a losing season. I know I've won 2 Super Bowls, and so um, that always meant the most to me. And I think you talk about my elbow injury when that happened. I wasn't gonna let that stop me. Like I wasn't done yet. I was gonna prove I could come back and keep playing and put the work in to keep going. It's just who I was, and I think it's just who God made me to be.
Well, 418 passing touchdowns, just so you know now,
Thanks.
compared to, let's see, mine. You had Big Ben, 418 touchdowns to 211 interceptions. Gradkowski, 21 touchdowns. And I don't want to mention my interceptions, 24. I should at least be, come on, like, I should at least be even there. Who would you say? I remember the last thing, I just remember you, Mike Vick, and I going to dinner in Kansas City. I think it was a preseason game. I was hurt. We were all kind of, I don't know, you two weren't playing.
No, yeah, no one, none of us played. I think Landry played.
Yeah, who else
It
was
was
on
a
the
regular season. It
roster?
was a regular season. It had to be Landry, right?
That's yeah, but who else
Because
did we
none of
have?
us played.
None of us played. So we go out to dinner and we're sitting this is where I was like trying to put myself in your shoes and Mike Vick's. Like it was nonstop people coming up to say hi. Can I get an autograph?
Mhm.
Can I get a picture? And you both were just super respectful. And I also thought to myself though too, I'm like, that would be hard to do. You're in a mid conversation and you're
Mhm.
getting bombarded. And just being with you two, it was like nonstop. Like we barely had time to talk. I mean, just talk about having to handle that, but also it's a blessing in a sense too. My mom always reminded me, she goes, we were out to dinner one night, someone came up for an autograph, in Toledo, Ohio. I'm a big deal here, Ben.
You're a legend.
That's
I understand that. I know. I know you are.
but my mom's like, just remember one day they're not going to ask anymore and you're going to miss it. But just kind of talk
Yeah.
about, fans and their approach and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I figured out early that if I didn't want to deal with that, then
Mm,
you don't go out. You don't leave your house. You don't go to dinner. If you're not in the mood to deal with it, because the last thing you want to do is go out and give someone a first impression that you're a jerk. And you're just having an off you could have an off day. Everyone has
right.
off days. The nicest people in the world have off days. And if you catch them on an off day, that person's first impression, they're gonna go tell people. I've always realized that if you're a nice guy to somebody, they might go tell one or two people, "Man, I met Ben. He was such a nice guy." If you're a jerk, they're gonna go tell hundreds
Mm,
of people that you're a jerk. It's
right.
just like anything. It's like you get the mass of people that love you. don't really, they're not the loud ones. It's the quiet few, or not the quiet, the few that don't like you or have something to say, they're the loudest. And
Right.
so it's like you just don't go deal with it. If you're not in the mood to deal with it, don't go out and do that, because someone's first impression of you needs to be who you really are. And so, um, to me, and I'm not saying I was always the nicest or the best, because you're right. Sometimes you're sitting at dinner with your family, or you're trying to have a really, an intimate conversation or whatever, and it's always, hey, one more thing, one more autograph, one more picture. Well, what
Right.
about that guy that's about to come over next too? So, but you have to understand, appreciate that they're they appreciate you, and they are wanting a picture, they're wanting an autograph, they just want to say hi. And
Right.
so I think as I've gotten older and I've appreciated it more, I've been more open and accommodating to that kind of stuff. And even while I was playing too, like I'm not talking like in the last 2 or 3 years, I'm talking
Right.
the last 10 or so years of playing football.
No, that's tough. Now, do you see anything with football in your future? Coaching, being in an executive role, TV, like
I don't know. I think, like, people ask me all the time, like, obviously that was big talk this year, like me being the coordinator and all that in Pittsburgh. But I was like, I stopped playing. One of the reasons I stopped playing was to spend more time with my family.
Mm.
And I tell Benjamin, he's always like, "Dad, you need to go back and be a coach." I'm like, "Buddy, do you realize that coaching takes more time than playing?" Like it's a lot of time. And so I don't see it anytime soon, just because I enjoy what I'm doing now. I enjoy being with the family. I enjoy being able to go golf with my son whenever he wants, or go, hunting, or do whatever it is. And so, I don't see anything in the near future, at least, in that realm. I mean, I helped coach his fifth grade football team this year, but so little things like that, but nothing more, I don't think.
no, that's awesome. But when it's all said and done, my man, whatever you do, and that stat beside your name, it's always a winner. I mean, that's what it says. You talked about it at the beginning as we compared our, my big stats to yours. Uh, but you always have that winner. You're a competitor. I always appreciate you, brother, and I appreciate you coming on.
Bruce, anything for you, buddy. I appreciate your time and all that you meant to me. You're one of the few good ones, so thank you.
Thanks, brother. The Alpha 5 Method podcast is about hearing your story. I want to hear from individuals that have overcame adversity. I want to hear their path and what has helped them achieve greatness. Go to my website now, alpha5method.com, and join the pack.